Hello, this is Russell Dobular sitting in for Jimmy Dore, who is performing in El Paso, Texas on Friday. So if you happen to be in the El Paso area, catch the show. All right, so you might have noticed, really interesting. So after the WCK workers were killed by the IDF in an airstrike, in a very obviously intentional airstrike, there was all of a sudden the whole media pivoted all together, almost as if they were directed to do so, almost as if phone calls were made.
Clearly.
It was incredible. All of a sudden, all of these people who'd been shilling for Israel, not only since October, for decades, turned around, and Joe Scarborough screaming at their finance minister about sacks full of cash going into Gaza, being brought by the Qataris under Netanyahu's direction. Oh, yeah, screamed at him.
Because Biden was losing.
Why was Netanyahu funding Hamas, a terrorist organization, screaming his head off? And okay, now, you know a directive came down from the top, because what he was screaming at him about was not a story that had broken that day or that week. That was a story that had broken in December. Yeah. The New York Times printed that back in December, and he was just got to the party 2 weeks ago. At the same exact time as all of these people start acknowledging that Israel, you got Leon Panetta goes on TV and says the Israelis shoot first and ask questions later. They're not careful about civilians. And then as things started to escalate with Iran, and as much as we can read between the lines or tell or parse out from different news stories we've seen, Biden, or the Biden administration, Biden doesn't do anything, Jake Sullivan worked out a deal with Netanyahu that if the Israelis don't start World War III with Iran, they'll stand down on Rafah. So as soon as that deal, this is my theory based on various news reports, they gave the word to the media, you need to go full bore propaganda against anyone who is speaking out against Israel, focus it on students because they don't have platforms or and institutional power. Focus it on them. And let's be honest,
no one really likes them.
Nobody really likes them anyway. Focus it on them, because we got to get ready, because these images that are going to come out of Rafah are going to so clearly be sick and genocidal. We have to soften people up now. Basically, what the media is doing right now is a shock and awe campaign against the public to soften everybody up so that they already have defenses in place against any public outcry that is sure to come at the sight of even more horrific mass slaughter of women and children. So these people that you get news from, they don't do news. They're actors, they're operatives, they take orders and they follow them. And you could see that in this sudden shift. So here, Scott Galloway, this 2 weeks ago, Joe Scarborough screaming his head off about Netanyahu paying Hamas. All of a sudden, Scott Galloway defends Israel on his show with one of the craziest monologues you're going to hear in a crazy time.
It's just Kid Rock's monologue.
All right.
One of my pet peeves seems to be one of your pet peeves, and that is, 2 million people have been killed in the Sudan civil war. I haven't seen a protest in NYU for that. Assad killed 500 Arabs. I didn't see colleges burned down. 500,000 Arabs killed by Assad. Saddam Hussein killed over 1 million Muslims in wars. I gassed them. I didn't see protests there. And yet your school is shut down right now because Israel is responding to the worst attack against Jews worldwide since the Holocaust. Help us sort through that.
And we can debate that response.
I don't know algebra, but I'm pretty good at the common denominators here and why there's no common denominators in all of these. It's just that it's Jews defending their homeland. Because if you look at the numbers, even with American wars, they don't add up.
Okay, fuckface. The common denominator here is we were not funding those actions. None of those were our allies.
Right.
We were not directly responsible, maybe in some deep state ways responsible, maybe in some abstract ways responsible, but not directly responsible. Israel is our client state. We are paying for this. We are sending them millions of dollars. You are going to sit there and make the formulation that you can't see what the common denominator would be, and the common denominator is very clear. We were not paying for that. These were countries that we were had hostile relations with, that we did not have any particular influence with.
You don't remember Iraqi AIPAC? Saddam paying Joe Scarborough to defend Saddam's bullshit.
Yeah, and number two, no colleges are being burned down now.
Of course not.
NYU is not being burned down. Number two. And number three, you see Mika tries to sneak in there. Yeah, we can debate their response, but well, you were debating their response 2 weeks ago. You were doing that. You had panelists on your show saying we need to stop weapon sales and then sanction Israel. Now, you guys didn't say that, but you guys grilled. I forget who he was. It was some Israeli official that they were grilling about why Netanyahu, was sending the suitcases to fund you, right? So,
he was I think, their finance minister.
Oh, okay. Was he that high up? I didn't know. But yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so you were willing to actually take a side in that debate. It seems just 2 weeks ago. So what happened? What happened? Something obviously happened. Yeah,
they got a call.
Yeah. They all know what they're doing. None of these people are dumb.
That's it. Well, we're going to see as we go on in this segment. Some information has leaked. Specifically about MSNBC. So let's go on.
Well, first off, good to be with you, and I especially appreciate your leadership on this issue. I'll give you some more numbers. 2,200 American servicemen killed at Pearl Harbor. We go on to kill 3.5 million Japanese, including 100,000 in one night. 2,800 Americans in 9/11. We go on to kill 400,000 people in Afghanistan and Iraq. We weren't accused of genocide.
We weren't?
Maybe we should have been.
We weren't? This is what a bubble these people live in. Yes, we were.
We just got away with it.
Yes, we were. We got away with it, but certainly we were accused. Remember the protests in the street? Biggest protest since the Vietnam War? Did you miss that? You slept through that? Asshole.
You had, if Mexico had elected a jihadist cartel to run their country, and then they incurred into Texas, and on a per capita basis killed 35,000 people, or the population of the University of Texas, and on the way back took the freshman class at SMU hostage and hid them under tunnels, what would we do? It'd be the great Sonora radioactive parking lot. But Jews are not allowed, and Israel is not allowed to prosecute a war. And they are prosecuting a war more humanely than we have done. The ratio of combatants to civilians
that might be true. We are
of civilian death to combatant mortality is lower than it was in Mosul, lower than it was in Japan, lower than it was in Germany. So there's just a different standard for Jews in Israel when it comes to prosecuting a war. They're allowed to fight back to a truce, but unlike America or any other Western nation that has attacked us viciously, they're not allowed to win a war. It's a double standard.
It's not fair. It's not fair. All these other countries get to do genocide. We don't. It's not fair.
I mean, that's just stunning.
Students are mean to us.
We did that for Israel, by the way. Why do you think we did all those other fucking wars we lost? You ever see Bibi talking about how it was going to get easy to beat Iran? As soon as we win in Iraq, it's going to make it easy to win in Afghanistan. We lost both of those.
Keaton, anything?
Well, I don't know if it's the most offensive part, but certainly one of the things he gets most wrong is this comparison between Gaza and Mexico, as if those are two equally sovereign, equally politically autonomous places. Yes, exactly. Gaza is an occupied territory, you piece of garbage. I mean, these people are just beneath contempt. I mean, they really are.
Concentration camp.
It's a concentration camp. It's an occupied territory. You cannot assign the same political autonomy to Mexico as you would to Gaza. That is a politically illiterate thing to say. It's mind-boggling. But this is the fact that's hidden in plain sight, and it's been hidden in plain sight all these years. And unfortunately, tragically, horribly, it took this current war, or this current flare-up of an ongoing war, I should say, to really bring into focus for people the fact that when Norm Finkelstein calls Gaza an open-air concentration camp, it's not an exaggeration. Right. Because only once you understand that can you understand how absurd and obscene a comparison between Gaza and Mexico. Well, if Mexico elected a terrorist government and they invaded the United States, the people of Mexico have political autonomy because their state is a sovereign state. It's not an occupied open-air cage. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that at this point people can go on TV and say a thing like that.
Well, and
being paid,
and he's also just giving up the game, as these Zionists tend to do. Okay, so you're listing all of America's greatest war crimes, and saying we got away with it, and then you're saying if Mexico did such a thing, we'd commit an even greater genocidal crime than Israel is currently doing.
Right. We would commit genocide in response to a terrorist attack. Just like we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, and nobody seemed to have a problem with it, right?
Right. But they are so much in this bubble, and anybody who watches this and is not fucking horrified and disgusted is just completely brainwashed with this deep state kind of realpolitik vision of the world, where the relevant part of what he's saying is not supposed to be we would nuke Mexico.
I know. Right. That's my morning Joe, hearing that shit. Oh my God.
You know what? He's got a really good point. We would nuke Mexico. I don't know why everybody's so mad about the 15,000 dead women and children.
People said that to me out loud. Okay. Oh yeah, we should dude, I mean, what is their bubble, by the way? Satanism? What is the bubble here? This is beyond. This motherfucker's an operator. Joe Scarborough is. The thing you said at the top, dude, I think that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Because we avoided World War III, so Israel got to do a little right? So Bibi's not in trouble with his psychopaths, right? And then they're like, all right, turn it back on the students because we're going to calm it all down.
Exactly. Because it was it was such a quick pivot. It didn't organically evolve.
I thought
all of a sudden they all went right back to this narrative that they had dropped for a minute, which was weird in and of itself. Zachary Foster here. Tell me you didn't bother to Google what is the definition of genocide under international law without telling me. For a tech expert, this Galloway fellow should learn how to use Google. Perry Bartol. Be careful there, Scott. There are lots of people out there who aren't aware of how many people the U.S. has killed in pursuing foreign policy goals that never had the consensus support of Americans. They might even start objecting to U.S. foreign policy in the first place.
Hey, come see us do a live show in El Paso, Texas, San Antonio, Denver, Colorado, Los Angeles, California, May 19th at the Zephyr Theater. That's a panel show with video. Ashland, Virginia, Athens, Georgia, Rutherford, New Jersey, Minneapolis, Ontario, California, Irvine, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.